Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Letty and this is Bugs Books, where we talk about all things books, reading, fiction, fun stuff. So today we're doing the reader profile tag, which I saw this being done by like Jane Reads last week, and I just thought it looked super fun, so I decided to do it. So let's jump right in. The first question is, what makes a good book? For me, that would have to be characters and plot. I like kind of an exciting plot that keeps the pace moving, and I also like good characters. A lot of character growth is important, and also I love a good witty character. Like if a character has a lot of wit, like even if the plot is slow, if a character has a lot of wit that keeps me smiling and engaged, that's great. What am I currently reading? So fiction-wise, I actually just last night finished Midnight on the Scottish Shore by Sarah Sundin, and I'll be talking about that in my monthly wrap-up. So I don't actually have a fiction book being read right now because I finished that last night. I do know what I'm going to start yet. I just haven't started it yet today. I am reading, though, nonfiction, The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Deutsch. So it's all about neuroplasticity and interesting things. So yeah, I'm like a good way into that, at least like halfway. I think I'm like 60% done with The Brain That Changes Itself. So yeah. Number 3 is, what is the last book you did not finish and why? The last book that I DNF'd was The Girl Who Could Breathe Underwater by Erin Bartels, and I DNF'd it because shortly into it I realized that it was about I don't know how to say it without getting like my video flagged for triggering terms. It's about abuse, abuse of a minor, and a very specific type of abuse that YouTube doesn't like being mentioned, so I'm not going to mention it, but I'm sure you can imagine. And that's not something that I like to read, and so yeah, once I realized that that's what it was actually about, because the back of the book did not warn me at all, thank you very much, I would not have bought it if I knew, but yeah, once I realized what it was about, I DNF'd it, because I do not like reading about those kind of topics. Number 4, what obscure book do you wish other people would read? This one's hard. But I'm going to go with an author rather than a book, and that is Lori Wick. She used to be super popular, you know, back in like the 90s and 2000s, but I feel like a lot of like modern Christian fiction readers kind of forgot she existed, and I'm like, her books are so sweet, they're really chill, they're really like, they're just very sweet and chill and relaxing to read, and she needs to make a comeback. I love Lori Wick, and I'm sad that a lot of people have forgotten she exists. Yeah. Number 5 is, what is the longest book you have read? And that is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. And actually, my copy is the abridged copy, so I have not read the whole copy. I really want to. I did not realize this was abridged when I got it. I don't remember where I got it. I don't remember if it was a gift or if I got it online. I may have gotten it online. I think I did. But anyway, I didn't know it was abridged when I got it, so I read it, and then I was like, oh, this is the abridged version. So I'd love to read the full-length novel, which, I mean, they call it a brick for a reason. But even being abridged, it's like 400 pages, so it's actually not that long when it's abridged, but yeah, I would say that it's probably, well, I probably read some books longer than 400 pages. I just can't think of them, because when I think of a long book, I think of Les Mis. So, let's see. Number 6, if you could have a dinner party with 5 fictional characters, who would they be? Barclay Pierce from Rosanna M. White's World War I series. What's the name of that series? Shadows Over England, maybe? When I read his book, I was like, and he showed up in the entire series, which is why I'm saying the series and not just his book, which is An Hour Unspent. But when he showed up, my first thought was, I bet this guy is an ISFJ like I am, because I feel like he's like my male counterpart. We make all the same decisions, and in real life, if he was real, he would be my best friend. Like, you know when you read a book, like a romance book, and you kind of, you know, you don't fall in love, but you kind of fall in love a little bit with the romantic hero. I did not fall in love with Barclay Pierce. I read Barclay Pierce, and I was like, this bro is like my best friend. Like, we're twins. I need him in real life, because he'd be my pal. And so, yeah, I would definitely invite him to dinner just because he's like my fictional best friend. And then Penelope Edgewood from Positively Penelope by Pepper Basham, because she's amazing and she's so vibrant and fun and cheerful, and who wouldn't want to spend time in her company? Mrs. Kipp from The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp by Sarah Brunswold, because she would be like, she would just be handing out wisdom left and right at that dinner. Like, that would be great. I would just love to talk to her about her life and to learn from her. Jess from the Christiane Hunter books. We first meet her in A Noble Masquerade, and then she has her own book in A Pursuit of Home, but we see her in several of the books. I just think she's a really interesting character. And also, I feel like it would be fun to have a spy at dinner, because they're so good at reading people, and they could really enlighten you as to what the vibe with other people is. Like, I just want them to be like telling me what's going on, you know, what is that body language telling you and stuff. Whereas, you know, when you think of the big spies, you think of like, you think of Ryland from A Noble Masquerade, or you think of Eric Kovesh's, his big spy, what is his name, from The Gentleman's Spy, and later on, her later series. Oh my goodness, totally forgot his name. But he's a spy. But, like, I feel like those two, like Eric Kovesh's spy and Ryland, would be noticing everything, but they would keep those cards close to themselves. Where I feel like Jess, also a spy, would notice things and would be willing to tell me what she's noticing. So, anyway, that was a very interesting explanation. But y'all get it. Y'all get me. And then number 5 would be Crockett Archer from Karen Whitemeyer's Archer series, The Archer Brothers. Just because he's so funny, and he would provide a lot of comic relief at the dinner, I think. He'd be entertaining. So, and plus, Barclay Pierce needs another guy to even out the numbers. Anyway, number 7, what are 5 books you would have on a deserted island with you? Number 1 would be my Bible. This very thick and heavy one right here. It's a study Bible, so it has all these little, like, notes in the margins and things like that, which I really enjoy, and I would definitely need it with me on a deserted island. Number 2 is Positively Penelope by Pepper Basham, because it would probably get really lonely and sad on a deserted island, and what better way to cheer you up than Positively Penelope. Also, Until Leaves Fall in Paris by Sarah Sundin, simply because it's one of my favorite novels ever, like, literally probably top 3, top 2 favorite novels. I've never actually tried to rank my favorite novels, but I know this one would be like the top. On Wings of Devotion by Rosanna M. White, which is sorry, I thought I was one short, but then I counted in my head and I realized I do have 5. Sorry. On Wings of Devotion, which is Rosanna White, one of my favorite Rosanna White novels. I love Camden and Arabelle so much. And also Worthy of Legend, also by Rosanna White, another of my favorite novels. So those 5 I would definitely keep with me on a deserted island, because I would never get tired of rereading them. Number 8. What is one book that you could not put down? So there have been a lot of books in my lifetime that I have not been able to put down. Many books, I mean, maybe not many, several books that I have read in a day, being 300 plus page books. Although I haven't done that probably since I was in like college, if not high school. I do not read as fast now as I read as a younger person. So it's been many years since I have read a book in a day. But I used to read a book in a day, like quite a bit, especially in high school. Like 2 days was like how long it took me to read a book. 3 days if I was being slow, and 1 day if it was really good. Like, I read so fast in high school, I don't know how I did it. Like, I can't imagine that now. Maybe my life is just a lot busier now. But, yeah. So, it's hard to specifically pick one book that I couldn't put down that way, because there have been a lot. But I will say, A Lady of High Regard by Tracy Peterson. I read this in the 9th grade, so, and in the fall of the 9th grade, so I would have been 14. And I remember distinctly that my school was going on a mission trip, because I went to a Christian high school. We did at least one mission trip every year, if not two. A lot of times we did one in the fall and one in the spring. And when I was in 9th grade, in the fall, we joined up with 8 Days of Hope, which is a really great non-denominational Christian organization that goes and rebuilds communities after disasters. We actually joined 8 Days of Hope for a mission trip a few different times in high school, at least twice that I went. And so this was the first time we went with them. We were rebuilding a town in Mississippi that had been destroyed by tornadoes. And so it was quite a long drive from our school in Texas to Mississippi. So we left like early in the morning and we got there late at night. And I remember I was reading this book in the car on the way there. My principal was driving and there was a bunch of us high school students in the car, and we were almost there. It was quite late at night. It was dark. Most of my classmates like had their headphones in and were like sleeping, but I was awake. I had the light on in the car because I could not put this book down. And so I turned the light on in the car after it got dark, and I was reading, and I got to like this spot in the climax, and I won't tell you what happens, but something happens, and I screamed. And my principal like swerved because he was driving, and he got really mad at me, which was fair because you don't scream when somebody's driving. I was 14 and was not my smartest thing, but like it was so gripping. It got me, like, and I screamed, and I got in trouble, which I absolutely should have, because I created a dangerous situation. But yeah, so not only is that a book that I probably read it on the entire drive. I started and finished on that drive. So read that book on a single car trip, on a single day, and kept reading it after it got dark and screamed at the climax. So yeah, that would be a book that I could not put down to a not safe level. Anyway, number 9. List 5 books or authors that you will never read. Yeah. Sarah J. Maas. I will never read her because her books are not clean. Also, it brings up a huge problem I have with the spicy content in teen literature. Guys, why are we not only letting our teens read this kind of content, but we're literally promoting it and aiming it towards our teens? And not just the spiciness levels, but like the toxic relationships, like training our young women to idolize bad boys, like, and then you wonder why your daughters get into toxic relationships. Anyway, so yeah, Sarah J. Maas and that kind of book just really, really brings up a huge problem I have with the publishing industry and the way it markets towards young people and what it pushes towards young people. So never going to read her. Nicholas Sparks I will never read because I've seen many of his movies and they're always sad, and I'm like, what does this guy have against happy endings? I like happy endings in my books. I will never read him. Anything horror, so like Stephen King, not gonna happen. Which I wouldn't even have thought to put him on this list, but like Jane Reed's mentioned him in hers, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't read horror, so definitely would not read him. Also, and this one's gonna be controversial, y'all, because these have all been like very secular authors, and I mainly read Christian fiction, so it kind of makes sense. But this is a Christian fiction author. So I know a lot of y'all are gonna be coming at me in the comments, and that's okay. Jamie Jo Wright. I know she's so popular, and y'all love her, and that is great. I'm sure she is so talented, but I don't do creepy, and I don't do scary. I don't like it. I'm not here for it. So I can't read her. And I'm sure that she is great. I hear she's a lovely person, and I'm sure that I would, enjoy getting to know her as a person, but I can't read her books. I just can't. I don't do creepy. So that was only 4, but not 5. That was 4. But it's kind of all I got for you, because I don't know anybody else. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot, there's a lot of authors like along the same lines of Stephen King or Sarah J. Maas that are just in genres that I would not read, but I don't really know them off the top of my head because those are the big names. So we have come to our final question, which is number 10, and that was, if you were to write a book, what would it be about? Well, I am a writer, so that is a very loaded question. I can't really say what it would be about because as a writer, I could write about so many different things. In fact, I have like 7 different works in progress. And when I say that, I'm not actually actively working on all of them. It's just whenever I get a new idea, I always like open up a new doc and put down a couple thousand words for that idea right then. So that kind of becomes a new work in progress. I only have 1 work in progress that I am actively pursuing at the moment for publication. So I only have 1 that I'm working on, which is a royal YA fiction about sisters. So yeah. If you are interested in something that I would write, I do have a short story that's published on White Crown's Publishing's website under their Princess Moments, so you can check that out if you're interested. I would appreciate it if you checked it out. But yeah, if you ask me if I ever would write a book, what would it be about? It would be about a lot of different things because I have a lot of ideas and projects. I'm only working at 1 at the moment, but when I finish that, I will move on to the next one, so anyway. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you are interested in this tag, I will put the questions in the description box. You can go from there, or you can just comment in my comment section your answers to some of these questions or your agreement or disagreement with me. That would be great, and I will see you in the next video.